Coming up next on the voice of Alabama politics, progress and controversy. Also, Minnesota and Alabama might as well be worlds apart. And what is the Alabama Cannabis Commission up to?
Hey! Welcome to Dope-a-thon 82! Ow!
A Dope-a-thon? No kidding. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to the voice of Alabama politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, columnist and investigative reporter at APR. Welcome.
Howdy, y'all.
Yeah. You know, I know I have been very critical of the actions taken during the 2024 session. Mm-hmm. I can't speak for you and Josh, but I kind of think y'all been a little critical as well. You know, having stepped back from it a bit, I do notice that there, amidst all the crazy bills that harmed people and did damage to the state, there were some good pieces of legislation: the child tax credit, the housing tax credit, and some of the education initiatives like tech training and things like that. So I did want to take a few minutes and just, give the devil his due and praise where praise is warranted. And I think these were good things that will help the state amidst all the bad things that they did.
Yeah, well, with the child care tax credit, that's going to help a lot of families be able to have more of the family members in the workforce, because they're not having the burden of, basically going to work and that the child care is just sucking that paycheck out. The education, that's really good, because not everybody needs a college degree. I mean, not everybody's fit, cut out for one.
And what this is, it gives you get diplomas or certificates in
tech fields or vocational fields. I mean, welders make like $15, $20 an hour. I mean, that's amazing. Where, you could get a college degree and sit and look for a job for 5 years.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a road in the right direction with some of these bills.
And Josh, they did a lot of good things with education, but they also did that soul-sucking Choose Act that is determined to kill public education. But we did have a big budget. But these things that help families, like the tax credit and the housing credit, those should serve well.
Yeah, it's always amazing to me whenever we talk about the good things that the legislature does, it always stems from some level of a bipartisan committee or a bipartisan conference, or people getting together to come up with the best solution. I mean, let's look at the original gambling bill that we talked about. I mean, that was a pretty good bill that was going to help the state, and it came out of these guys trying their best to put together something good. It's the same way with the child tax credit. I mean, I laugh about the child tax credit because it was part of our lives for a few years there, the expanded child tax credit. Until Republicans killed it, and everybody talked about it, basically taking money from, and giving it away, and then all of a sudden, hey, we realized that child care is expensive for working people. Yeah. And so it just, I wish that we could do more of this, and less of the stupid stuff, and less of the throwing things against the wall just to see if you can make somebody angry because you don't know how to do the job of government.
Well, I mean, it is like I speak with people all the time. And recently I've spoken with several people who said, look, we did these crazy things because we're worried about getting primaried from our right, because ALGOP, the party itself, not the legislators, but the party itself, wants to go more MAGA. They want to go more extreme. And so these folks that would normally be in the middle making these good decisions are forced to the fringe to defend their job, which I think is kind of sick, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, and it is at the expense of good legislation like this, of things that are actually helping people in the state of Alabama instead of trying to anger everybody and divide everybody, which is what ALGOP is apt to do right now.
Yeah, and it is the steering committee. It is that committee that, you know, those people that are on the extremes of the party that get in there and do this stuff. You know, so the child care tax credit, great idea, which came about during the pandemic, the Biden administration. Right now in Congress, U.S. Congress, the Republicans in the House have renewed or in the process of renewing the Farm Bill, which they have to do. And as part of the Farm Bill, the Republicans have put forward legislation that would cut some $30 billion over 10 years out of the SNAP program. Now, the SNAP program is money that feeds people that don't have food.
Exactly.
But we want to cut that while giving massive subsidies to corn growers and to other farm subsidies to pay people not to grow food that these people could eat. You know, it just makes absolutely no sense to me at all.
No, it's just like, you know, where we're having the problem with not feeding children over the summer this year.
Yeah.
This is ludicrous. I mean, you're talking about taking at least 2 days worth of meals out of people's and children's mouths here. And you got to realize that nearly 750,000 Alabamians are on the SNAP program,
Right.
which not only are they going out without food, but that, you know, that money is going somewhere else. It's, you know, the economy is not going to actually benefit. It's going to hurt the economy when those SNAP programs are not here, not available.
I mean, my friends that love to quote the Bible, they talk about people not working and they shouldn't eat. That's not what it says. It says that if you will not work, you shouldn't eat. You know, and children, I know how much Alabama wants to put children back to child labor, Josh. That's a big thing right now. We want to put kids back in the fields. But the truth is, these SNAP programs help real people that have real needs.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think everybody knows, Bill, that when Jesus divided up the fishes and loaves, he said, whoa, you didn't put it in on this. But, you know, I think, you know, what most people don't understand is, do you understand how little you have to make in the state of Alabama to qualify for some of these programs?
Yeah.
It's $350 a month.
Yeah.
Do the math on that and total that up for the year,
Yeah.
and see if you can live on $350 a month to get it. And so most of it goes to what they call childless households. And that means that basically we're just paying for the kids to eat.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously it goes to the parents and the kids get to eat, but it limits the amount of money that is available for these folks overall. And the last I've checked, I've not heard of the SNAP program causing us to be too full.
No.
You know, or that the kids are just running around and they're so full that they can't make it anymore. You know, it just, of all the things to cut, you know, we got some subsidies you're right, going to the corn growers, and people, when you think of the Farm Bill, they think of small farmers like we used to.
No.
It's not true.
No.
Most of these are large corporations out there that rake in billions and billions of dollars every year. And many of them by suing small farmers out of business. All right. And so that's who this is going to, not to mention the subsidies that we give out to other people like oil companies and folks around with straight cash to a lot of these folks. And I just, you know, of all the things to cut, why are you cutting kids?
Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, we're going to have to leave it right there. You know who loved this bill, Susan?
Barrymore.
Barrymore
He
loved this
loved
bill.
it. He really did.
You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
My personal biggest pet peeve is kids who are not properly restrained, whether that be in a booster seat, a car seat, or even a simple seatbelt. Kids, they become projectiles, and it's terrifying.
It absolutely breaks my heart to know that something so innocent could be punished so severely.
Your children rely on you to be that person that says, no, you need to put your seatbelt on.
Your home is your most valuable asset. But what if someone tried to steal it from you? Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
As a district attorney, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of property fraud. That's why I'm proud to support the Montgomery County Probate Court's REACT program.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
So don't wait. Sign up for REACT today and protect your home.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. You know, I was reading in the national news this past week where the state of Minnesota, the governor there signed into law a bill that bans libraries from banning books that are based on LBGTQ plus content. They banned banning books, all right? Now,
Good on them.
Now, just think about this. In Alabama, we are doing everything we can to ban books. Minnesota is saying, we're going to ban banning books. Now, Minnesota also, not too long ago, passed a law that protects doctors who do abortions. And it goes beyond that. If someone from Alabama comes to Minnesota for an abortion, their law says you cannot prosecute them. You cannot prosecute that person. You cannot prosecute that doctor. They also went so far as to say, we're going to have gender affirming care and you can come to our state and get it. Now, I don't want to live in Minnesota.
It's too cold.
It's too cold, you know, but I don't want to live there. I want to live in Alabama. But if you look at the two states, there's might as well be in different universes. Alabama is doing absolutely the opposite of Minnesota. Now, Minnesota has approximately 5,075,000 citizens, Susan. Alabama has about 5,000. That's the 75,000 people is the difference in the state population. But if you look at the health, welfare, GDP, prosperity, and wealth in Minnesota, we look like a third world country.
We do. And if our legislature, obviously, if our legislature went to work like Minnesota's legislature, this could be drastically different. I mean, you know, you were talking about it's a similar populations. We got the GDP for Minnesota is 450 million. Alabama is 220.
So it's half.
Billion with a B, sorry,
Billion.
half. So per capita income is 65,000 per year, and in Alabama, it's 45,000. High school graduation, 88%, Alabama 86%. College degrees, 36% to Alabama's 24%. Life expectancy, 81 years to 73 years. Of course, if you look down here to the uninsured residents, only 6% of Minnesota people are uninsured, where 9.5% of Alabama.
And Susan, isn't it true that Minnesota's poverty rate is like around 9% and Alabama's around 16%?
Exactly. SNAP residents there are 439,502. As we said last segment, 775,000 here in Alabama.
Josh, how can this be that one state about the size of Alabama population-wise is doing all these great things for folks and Alabama doesn't want to do them?
Well, you know, they got more lakes too, Bill. And
more ice fishing.
But more ice fishing. But listen, you know, right now, I guarantee you, there is some jackass sitting at home watching us on TV saying, well, why don't you just move to Minnesota then? Instead of looking at what you're saying and saying, you know what? We're all in the same country.
Yeah.
We're all under the same federal laws. We all are eligible for the same federal programs, the same federal dollars. We all could structure ourselves however we see fit. Why is it that the people of Minnesota, who are also Americans just like me, are doing so much better? Why are they expected to live 8 years longer on average than me?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an atrocity.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that seriously, what's happening in our state versus their state that has such a disparity in life expectancy and all the other stuff? Just simply surviving is easier in Minnesota.
Well,
where it's a hell of a lot
I can tell
older.
you, the uninsured rate, because we're not expanding Medicaid. We're too worried about libraries. We're too worried about who's going to what bathroom. We're not worried about what the citizens of Alabama actually need. We're worried about all of these other issues that get headlines.
Well, I've often said that Alabama is undereducated. They are unhealthy, and they are underemployed. Now, we're not concentrating on, the only thing we're concentrating on really is the employment part, which is a great part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Josh, this is just a symptomatic of our nation's divide. The countries that do great are the ones that are looking out for its citizens. The ones that are not so great, with the exception of Florida, that's because they've got everything that nobody else has and everybody wants,
Well, I would also point out that Minnesota also does not have the distinction of spending hundreds of years basically trying their best to kill off a segment of their population.
Well, that's true. That's true.
And when they weren't trying to use them for free labor, they were trying desperately to keep them from having any sort of benefits or any sort of health care or any sort of educational opportunities. And they're still doing it today in this state.
Yeah.
So, I think that does play a large role in the disparities that we see in both poverty and in healthcare outcomes and in life expectancy. And so I think that maybe we could just look at, the lack of racism as being a boost for the whole economy.
Well, and that's very true. I mean, this week, Alabama made national news once again,
Again.
because we are trying to ban books. I mean, this is another thing where we get national attention for all the wrong reasons. You know what? When's the last time you heard anything about Minnesota until they just banned banning books? You never hear about Minnesota. Nobody ever goes, oh, that Minnesota. No, nobody says much about Minnesota.
No, but they go, oh, Alabama again.
Oh, Alabama. And it's because Minnesotans work hard, get their job done, take care of their neighbors, things we say we do, but don't. But we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
My personal biggest pet peeve is kids who are not properly restrained, whether that be in a booster seat, a car seat, or even a simple seatbelt. Kids, they become projectiles, and it's terrifying.
It absolutely breaks my heart to know that something so innocent could be punished so severely.
Your children rely on you to be that person that says, no, you need to put your seatbelt on.
Today, Montgomery is a safer city. It's time to shift the narrative and take control of our future. We're reopening community centers, remediating blight, and revitalizing neighborhoods across the city. And we're unleashing new opportunities. Over the past year, companies have invested a record-setting $2 billion in Montgomery and created 2,000 jobs. This is a new Montgomery. And together, we're reimagining the possibilities.
As a paramedic, you wouldn't believe the things that we've seen.
I've seen all types of horrible things.
I mean, we're there basically picking up the pieces from your worst day.
Everyone is just driving and not paying attention.
We all have the same goal. All of us want to go home alive and safe and harm nobody else in the process.
Slow down. Be careful. Care about the other people on the road. Don't be the reason that someone else doesn't go home tonight.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. You know, John McMillan, I've always considered a friend. I like John. He is the commissioner of the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission, or the director. He's not the commissioner, he's the director. He has gone out of his way over the last few weeks to say that these lawsuits against AMC are frivolous, Josh. He has gone to Capital Journal and said it. He has gone to Kiwanis clubs. He's gone to Rotary clubs. He is trying to tell anyone who will listen that the lawsuits that have been brought against AMC have no merit. They're frivolous. Mm-hmm. And I point out that this is like having a telethon for a clown show. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what we
there
have.
You go.
And it's a telethon. We spelled those things wrong. Mm. But, Josh, what do you say to this?
Well, I mean, all right. So first of all, that's an easy track to take. If you are if you're trying to sell this thing, it's an easy track to take to say to people, "Oh, the lawyers are the ones screwing this up," because people hate lawyers. They hate lawyers. They hate lawsuits. It's an easy sell for the most part. But what I think people should realize is that not once but twice, the Medical Cannabis Commission, of which McMillan is the director, has admitted that they screwed this up. All right. They admitted that they screwed up the scoring. Then they have basically admitted that they screwed up not following the Alabama Open Meetings Act. And listen, you couldn't have screwed up not following the Open Meetings Act more than they screwed it up, given that they have a former sitting circuit court judge on the commission. Yeah. So, you know, to me, it's nonsense. All right. They have botched this from the beginning. They have completely and utterly destroyed this process. And the fact that the lawsuits have been successful when all the lawsuits are asking for is that the people involved in this simply follow the laws as written and hold these companies accountable should be a clue to a lot of people that, hey, things aren't on the up and up necessarily here, okay? That something else is going awry and McMillan needs to fix it. And that, you know, the problem, I find John McMillan to be fine. I find human being and all that. But you know, I don't know why he's in this position. He doesn't have any experience in cannabis. He doesn't have any experience with medicine. He's not a lawyer. You know, he doesn't have any sort of a reason to be there other than he's just been around government for a long time. Yeah. And, you know, I think it was followed to be a cushy position. And basically some people tried to screw with it along the way, and he wasn't paying attention. And so now the thing's gotten out of hand.
Well, you know, the thing here is we're talking about following the law. Things like having a facility that's in the law.
Yeah.
Having proper insurance that you're supposed to have, performance bonds, etc. We're not talking about little details of the law. We're talking about very large portions of being able to actually have a distribution and a, you know, facility to be able to process. And, you know, it's real simple stuff that they're not following at all.
And these are not, like you said, frivolous things.
No.
These are actual statutes that the legislature passed that have to be met. These criteria have to be met. Now, they're also spitting in the eye of Montgomery Circuit Court Judge James Anderson.
Yes, they are.
They are saying that Judge Anderson is allowing for frivolous lawsuits to continue. Well, if I were Judge Anderson, the first thing I would do is say, we need depositions. Mm-hmm. We're going to get everybody in here. We're going to subpoena you. You're going to sit your butt in a chair, and you're going to answer the questions once and for all, especially the lawyers.
Exactly. I mean, we're talking about only 2 out of the ones that were selected this last time had performance bonds. One of the ones had a piece of property that they intended to lease, but found out later they couldn't even lease. They don't even have a piece of property, much less a facility.
I mean, Josh, you know, we the three of us have been around this block multiple times, and this stinks to high heaven. There may not be corruption. But if there's not, it will be the first time. And this is why I believe they have fought these depositions so hard. Mm-hmm. Because if they tell the truth under oath, somebody's tail is going to be in a sling.
Yeah.
Or multiple
there's
tails.
definitely corruption. Yeah, there's definitely some corruption that has taken place here. And I mean, you can just see it because otherwise, what's going on here? There's only two explanations. Either there is corruption that is taking place and people trying to cover up what's going on, or they are to a level of incompetent that we have never before seen, even in the state of Alabama. Okay. And I don't think that they have achieved quite that level. I think there's too many people involved in this with advanced degrees and educated folks who would not have allowed that to take place. So I think, somebody has tried to manipulate it from behind the scenes here. And I think that that's part of the problem. I think that there's been a manipulation that's taken place. And I think that once they start the depositions, they'll see that.
Well, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. And whenever you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, you're going to have people that are going to try to cheat and break the rules. Now, everything we've seen about how the attorneys, in my opinion, have handled these things, and that with the scoring, with the way they've awarded license, and all of these things, it looks like to me that somebody is putting their thumb on the scale for probably financial gain down the road.
Oh no, say it isn't so.
I'm saying
sorry to touch the mic. But yeah, that's. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, if everything's on the up and up, sit for the deposition.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened. If it's on the up and up, you have nothing to hide.
Right.
Let's hear it.
You know, the only people that don't want to. I mean, who wants to sit for a deposition? No. But the truth is, these people have a position of public trust, and they should sit before a judge, sit before lawyers, and say what actually happened, so the public knows, without a shadow of a doubt, was this process on the up and up? Was it legal or was it corrupt? But we're going to have to leave that question to Judge Anderson. For right now, we're going to have to leave it right there. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.